Okay. Hello, guys. It's me. How are y'all doing? Just having some coffee. It's Coffee Talk with Michael Macintosh. All right, so let's get serious. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country, said the late great John Kennedy. So that's why, I agree with those words to some extent. I mean, the country should also take care of the people, but we, the people, should also do for each other and by extension, the country. Right? Right. Basic. So that's why we need good ideas, right? We've tried a lot of things in the course of this great experiment known as the United States of America, and by extension, the free world. We have tried so many things. Some things have failed, some things have succeeded, some things we haven't tried yet. So this is why what I'm asking is what can we do for the country moving forward and each other? What can we what new ideas can we bring to the table that we haven't tried that can improve things as individuals? I want to provide a platform somehow. I don't even have hardly enough of a platform for myself, frankly, because I keep getting censored everywhere. But I want to somehow provide a platform for ideas, and I want to listen to each and every one of you for ideas that you're all going to get credit for. I'm not going to run with your ideas and take credit for them. Right? If someone in, Topeka, Kansas comes up with a brilliant idea and says, hey, and I end up kind of in the White House and says, hey, Mr. President, why don't we try this? And we put it into action and it works. And I'm going to say, hey, look, this person came up with this idea. That wasn't me. Hi there, Blazer 101. Thanks for coming into the chat. How are you today? Where are you visiting from? May I ask, or is that a personal question? But you don't have to say if you don't want to. But yeah, so I'm thinking, some sort of, hey, Texas, don't mess with Texas. In so many ways, don't mess with Texas. Texas. I'm a Texas resident, right? I am descended from some of the 300, the old 300 families of Texas. I don't think Trump's going to get assassinated, Blazer 101, because that would make Mike Pence the president, and I don't think anybody wants that, frankly. I mean, even Republicans don't want Mike Pence to be president. So, you know, probably ain't gonna happen. If you don't like Trump, I really don't think you'd like Mike Pence as president. So anyone who would want to assassinate Trump would just be making things worse by, in their eyes, probably by making Mike Pence the president. I don't know. I think there's so much talk. There's been so much talk already of Trump being impeached for one reason or another that he could likely be impeached somehow, even if it's on some sort of fictional grounds or technicality. You I mean, if you want to impeach a president, it's like it's, if you make it your mission, it's probably going to happen. I don't know why anybody would bother wasting their time with that, but it seems like it would be a lot more productive just trying to get work done rather than stopping Trump or impeaching Trump. Uh, when I am president, has anybody tried to assassinate me? Um, First of all, I don't know for a fact that I'm going to be president. I think I am. It seems, I know it seems unlikely to you guys, maybe right now. Um, but I think by the time 2024 comes around, you're going to see the likelihood of it. And, 'cause I'm a determined person. And if I know that something is what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm going to go ahead and do it and make it happen. That's the kind of guy I am. Kind of been, a bit laid back about this whole thing because, you know, outside of this YouTube channel and everything else, I have an actual life, to take care of. But believe it or not, this isn't the only thing I do with my life, But the closer we get to 2024, I think it's going to be pretty much my main, full-time work and overtime work is my campaign because, you know, it's going to happen. I think. Um, I don't think anyone's going to try to. I mean, maybe people will try to assassinate me. I don't know, but I know that people have already tried to kill me in my life thus far. So, and hey, it happens when you're controversial, and by nature of my thinking, by virtue of the person that I am and the generation that I come from, I think I'm I'm naturally going to piss off people. I'm sure that people will try to assassinate me or kill me or take me out from now until probably the rest of my life. But guys, I'm tough. I'm smart. I'm able to defend myself. I surround myself with good people. No one's gonna kill me. If anyone's gonna kill me, it'll be me. Frankly, that's. um. Let's see. How can you be president 2024 if no one knows you? That's simply not true. That nobody knows me. I'm actually quite well established in a lot of things, and I come from a very politically active and military connected background and family. So it's not really like people don't know who I am. A lot of people know who I am, and I'm actually I'm a pretty successful business person. I'm in a multi-platinum rock band. Um, just because you don't know me doesn't mean that no one knows me. You don't know who I am. That's You never heard of me until probably this YouTube channel or some. Like, how did you hear about me? Apex TV, probably. I'm guessing. Thank you, Shadow Striker. I'm glad I'm still alive. Also, Blazer, if I don't become president in 2024, then who does? That I think is one of the primary reasons why I'm offering to do the job is because I'm pretty sure that Oprah Winfrey is going to end up trying to become president in 2024. And yeah, that can't happen, you guys. She's not going to be, she would not be a good president. So I'm going to stop that from happening. Have I ever been visited by Men in Black? I might be one of the Men in Black. Ever thought about that? I mean, I'm wearing black right now. I wear a lot of black, actually. I could be one of the Men in Black. Um, and if I was, I couldn't tell you, probably. The Men in Black, yeah. Um, there are a lot of Men in Black who work for the United States government. So if you're referring to the movie Men in Black with what's that Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith. Tommy Jones. What's his name? That actor. Yeah. I'm not good with celebrity names. Because I don't pay attention to celebrity culture. I'm not hugely interested in it. Hello, Eduardo. Men in Black are dicks sometimes. People are, at least sometimes. All people are. So I forget why I came on here. I was going to talk about something. I can't remember. You guys bombarded me with questions. What was I talking about at the beginning of this video? Oh yeah, the idea forum, think tank. We want to make everybody part of the think tank. I think, because you know, we all want to be part of this thing and part of making it work and doing for our country. So, and making it better for each other and of course ourselves. So, you know, I'm going to be listening to you guys. And we are going to take the best ideas and work with them, right? Give credit where credit's due because, if you come up with some brilliant idea and it radically improves society, It's your idea. You deserve credit for that. Good morning, Nomadic Interceptor. How are you today? Yeah, thinktank.gov or something would be great. Does that exist? Does anybody see if that works? It's probably not. Thinktank.gov. Well, that definitely doesn't exist. I mean, if Donald Trump is president, I don't think thinking is encouraged as much as it could be. I don't think Trump is as interested in hearing your ideas as he is in having you hear his ideas. And I'm just not sure that that's how a republic is supposed to work, how the democratic process is supposed to work. You know, I think it's supposed to be a bit more collaborative venture rather than a dictatorial, narcissistic, borderline sociopathic type process. Um, I'm not accusing Trump of being a narcissist or a sociopath or a psychopath. You know, I would never say something like that. No, not at all. And I'm not a sarcastic bastard ever. Um, like never. That's fantastic. Pneumatic interceptor, a natural system to improve electricity, potential drinking water, and the environment all at the same time. That's what we need. We need, and you know, please keep in touch with me because that's part of what I'm thinking is, and this is the truth. This is what I've been thinking, and this shows that our generation is in sync in the right ways. Um, and we're going to do this. I think Industrial Revolution 2.0, right? Listen to this. Well, the thing to do right now would be to keep that idea to yourself until like you know that you can trust um, that it's someone's not going to take it from you and or find out that what exactly your idea is and then come and like hurt you or something. Just keep it under wraps until we have like until we're running the show. You know what I'm saying? And then until we know we're running the show, and we aren't right now. And this is just an idea is industrial revolution 2.0 is taking all these ideas finding people who have these great ideas and getting our government to invest in them so that these new products and new developments can become mainstream and can have, yeah, like you're saying, healthier water, cleaner drinking water, free electricity, cleaner environment, all these things. This is part of how we have to approach the future is from a reinvention of industry standpoint. Because, like, as I'm sure you're aware, I mean, walk down the street in Los Angeles and you'll see that cars are the way, for instance, cars are being made. It's just got to go. We can have cars, but we got to have cleaner cars. We got to have cleaner fuel. We got to have cleaner energy. We know that people who live near electric plants and high voltage cell towers and these kinds of things are developing cancer and all manner of illnesses. We have to reinvent a lot of things. The basic ideas are great, but we have to reinvent how they're being done. And that's, I think, going to be a huge part of the next 50 years or so. It should have been done already, but there's no political will because of special interest groups. And you know that the oil companies have a huge stake in keeping things the way that they are. The automobile industry has a huge stake in keeping things the way they are. The power companies, all of these industries, the pharmaceutical industry, that's a huge one that I got a problem with. I've been part of the legalization movement for the last 30 years of my life, so we have to reinvent things. And there's no reason we can't keep the basic ideas, but we have to reinvent the way they're done so that they're not negatively impacting the environment and destroying our water supply. And a lot of these things don't have to cost money at all. Like they don't. We can create products that create ways of doing things and systems that can run for free. So you know this, I know this. I've seen enough of the evidence to. I've researched this topic for decades now, so I know. I know that there are cars that can run on water. There are, Tesla energy devices that can power a whole city that are completely detached from the grid. Yeah, that's a good idea about Mexico. I see we're on the same page. I've thought of these kinds of things too. So it's like I like Mexican people. I get along with them just fine. It's just their country is a mess and it does need help. And there's in Mexico a lack of political will to improve the situation for the Mexican people, and that's one of the biggest reasons that they keep leaving. They keep trying to get into the United States, and then it's like, well, I don't know why they think it's going to be any better a lot of the time, frankly. But Eduardo Garcia here is in Mexico, I think. Nomadic interceptor. He's from Arizona, but he's living in Mexico. Yeah, I would like to see Mexico do well too. I wish them well, but it's like, how do we, you know, the, the problems there that spill over into the United States are, if you step back and look at it from a much bigger picture perspective, it has nothing to do with really either country. It's just what's happening in both countries is just symptomatic of a much bigger global systemic issue. That's the way I look at it. And rather, we could go in, we could like look at it in detail and focus just on the United States and Mexico and the issues there, the issues in both of our countries. But the the real sources of the problem are elsewhere. That's another thing we got to look at, rather than treating the symptom as solving a problem. And that's a mix of uh, source, stuff originating in other parts of the world, and systemic issues, especially issues pertaining to, I think, the criminalization of drugs and the drug war. I think we need to look at, if we're going to solve problems like the drug war, the war on drugs. If we're going to win the war on drugs, I think we need to stop the war on drugs, because we're criminalizing an industry that doesn't really need to be criminalized. First of all, it's criminalized because of special interest, and we're told, like, I mean, you're told, for instance, that drugs are bad and they must be stopped. It's like, well, question that. Is that even true? Why are these things called drugs in the first place? Drugs is a pejorative term used to demonize something that isn't really bad in the first place. I mean, these are plants. How can a plant possibly harm you? You know what I mean? Like, really think about it. Step back and really think about it. How can a plant harm you? The truth is that it can't. Plant cannot harm you. If you look at the instances of where people have died from drugs, what's killing them is mostly is drug related violence, and if people overdose and this kind of thing, that's not really what's happening. What's happening is they're dying from impurities and things that are mixed in with whatever they're buying off the street, and that's what's killing them. I mean, I grew up in Boston. I know a lot of people who are so-called addicts. They're users. I'll call them users because that's what they are. I don't want to demonize them because they're good people. They just happen to use a certain kind of medication. That's the way I look at it. And they'll tell you, if you get, for instance, if you use heroin and you have pure heroin and you use it as medication for pain or whatever, as a lot of people do who are users. Um, like one guy who I knew, I grew up with, was a cab driver who became a heroin user because he was shot by one of his customers. This guy's a famous musician, um, pretty famous musician for a local guy. But his day job at one point was a cab driver before he became part of a really famous music group. This was a man called Mark Sandman from Morphine, a band called Morphine. Um, like, we grew up on the same streets, or I grew up on the streets that he lived on. I'm not sure if he was from Massachusetts. Actually, yeah, he was. Yeah, he was from Newton, Mass, but a little bit older than me, quite a bit older than me actually, but kind of hung in the same music scene and the same neighborhood and stuff. So, but he was a heroin user, and he became that simply because of pain. Nothing else worked for him. Medication didn't work. Pharmaceuticals didn't work. And he tried heroin, and guess what? It made him feel better. That's not what killed him. He did die, but that he was a user for a long time, and it didn't kill him. What killed him was exhaustion from touring. From touring as a musician, he died on stage. Um, but if we had just left him alone and let him use his heroin and made sure that he had clean, pure stuff, access to clean, pure heroin without it being cut with anything, and didn't, were able to provide a way for him to get well from his injury of being shot without having to run himself ragged touring as a musician. He might still be alive. And he was only like 45 when he died, my age. It's young. I'm a young guy still. People at my age shouldn't be dropping dead from exhaustion. No. So that's why I advocate like a radical restructuring of our drug laws and a change in perception of these things, and you know not hurting anybody, that they have legal access to grade A clean plant products. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's not going to destroy society. It's only going to help. And it's going to end the war on drugs, which is a pointless, futile war anyway. It's costing lives to send people out to fight in Afghanistan or wherever, because it's the only place they can grow. It's putting Americans in harm's way to fight for something that doesn't need to be fought for anymore. We just change the way we we look at things and change our approach to things. And yeah, I don't. That's another thing I especially like is seeing our military being needlessly put in harm's way. I don't want to see that. I want to see you guys at home with your families, with a good job and a good economy, and no need to go off and fight somewhere because that's the only job you guys can get that pays worth a damn. I don't. I don't like that. I don't want to see that. I care about our military and I care about our people, and like, this can't continue any longer. It's good and bad and everything, for sure. Um, and right now, it seems like good is on its way to winning. And that's really what we need to make sure happens and keep fighting. We have good intentions and good motives. Don't ever give up on those. And if you know something is right, always be willing to fight for it because that's how we're gonna make things good. Yeah, pneumatic interceptor, the amount of waste is astonishing. And the thing that I personally hate to see wasted is life more than anything. Life is precious, and even if it's you know, a misguided person who doesn't understand things or doesn't know what's actually going on, that person can still be educated and help to see you know, help to see things clearly. And it's kind of the responsibility of those who see the bigger picture to reach out to those people and help them see what's actually going on. I like to think that I'm one of those people that actually sees what's going on. But I'm sure there's plenty of stuff I don't know also. But I try to constantly sharpen my senses and perception of everything and see things clearly. Um, and maybe we all strive to do that. I think that's another thing that we can do to really help our country and each other. Like John F. Kennedy said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." And another, definitely a thing that we can do is just be aware of what's really going on and what the real story is, rather than what we've been told. And question everything. Ask questions. If someone doesn't want you to ask a question about something, then especially if it's like a major thing, it's like something huge, like what really happened on 9/11, for instance. Um, if we're being told not to question things like that, not question the official story of that kind of stuff, it's like there's a real problem, and there's been a real problem. But it looks to me like we really are starting to, as a society, get closer to the truth, and that's a good start. Truth is always the best place to start. And as Jesus Christ said, the truth will set you free. You can't be free without the truth. So here we go. Mhm. Yeah, it's hard to pay attention when you're being dumbed down through chemicals in your food and your water and your air supply. That's a definite. And of course, television. I mean, people got to turn off their TV sets for an hour, or a week, a month, a year. Even. Like, I haven't watched television in years. I don't own a TV. I would rather sit and stare at the wall than watch television. It's much more entertaining, you know. much more interesting. You learn more from staring at the wall than you do from television. Television is just an assault on your mind, and it's designed to numb you and dumb you, basically. People gotta turn off the TV sets. It's another thing. And we gotta get fluoride out of the water. We gotta get rid of chemtrails. We've got to have more like locally grown food so that we don't need to have to put pesticides and everything else in our foods just to keep them from going bad. So what else? I mean, there's so many things that are toxic for the mind, and I think our educational system too is definitely biased in terms of the agenda that it presents. I think it needs to get closer to, especially history. I think history is, slanted. The history that we're taught in public schools, for instance, is very slanted towards certain agendas and indoctrination of certain beliefs. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be neutral and objective and fact based rather than agenda laden. That's why, like, I think there should be more emphasis on science in schools, scientific research. Because if you're taught how to learn, if you learn how to teach yourself, then you'll find out the truth of things. But if you're not taught basics like scientific investigation, then you're going to have a hard time getting to the truth because you're just going to accept what you're told a lot of the time and assume that there's no reason to question it. But scientific investigation, if you learn how to scientifically investigate something, you'll look at all angles, all potential angles of truth, and put them all to the test. And then sometimes you'll be very surprised what you find out to be true. But that's the truth. Yeah, that's true. We are looking for community, for sure. And that's what we, the people, is. We're individuals, but we're also part of a we. And we are, whether we like it or not, as human beings, we are interconnected, and that transcends all manner of things like race, whatever that is. I don't even believe the term racism is a real thing. Frankly, it's overused at least. Nationality is a huge thing. I mean, we don't have to just be friends with or get along with people who are of the same nationality as us. I have friends of different nationalities, and there are people who I share a nationality with who I have a very difficult time getting along with. It's just the nature of things, a lot of things. Age, gender, these things don't have to be relevant factors in anything, really. Just a second. Just a second. I need some water. I'll be right back. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's for you guys. You guys like Led Zeppelin? I like Led Zeppelin. My favorite Led Zeppelin track is Moby Dick. My band used to play that live. We would make we did like a crazy version of it. Banana. I don't know where this banana came from. Like, my wife bought this at the store. I don't know where it came from. This could be from anywhere. Costa Rica, from Africa. I don't know. I don't know where it came from. That's kind of weird, you guys, when you really think about it. Why can't I just walk outside and get a banana from the tree out there? You know what I'm saying? Why do I have to go to the store and buy a banana when I could just walk outside and pick a banana off the banana tree or pick an apple off the apple trees that we could have everywhere? We could grow food in the cities. There is a solution to things, right? Why aren't we investing in these kinds of things? We could have, public orchards or something. That would be an interesting thing in our cities. Perhaps public orchards where everyone is allowed to come take from the trees. There we go. The public orchards program. That's going to be something I'm going to advocate for as well. Can you imagine, instead of having, half of Detroit being dilapidated, falling down crack houses, just take a bulldozer and just like bulldoze blocks, use eminent domain to take control of the land for the public good and turn it into orchards. Just plant trees. And anybody can come and just need some food. Here you go. Here's your apples. You need some oranges. Maybe we can grow oranges in Detroit. We can figure out a way. Grow bananas. I'm sure we could. We're smart. We can figure these things out. That would improve areas. And it wouldn't have to be expensive. It wouldn't have to cost much of anything, actually. Did I find out I was going to be president? Well, here's the thing. As someone associated with our military, I'm sure you understand that there are things that the public does not know about, like a lot of stuff. Um, well, from age 6, I was basically, I'll say, inducted into a very, excuse me, I got into kind of like the weird science division of the Central Intelligence Agency, currently known as DARPA. They used me for a teleportation program when I was 6 years old to the surface of Mars. And I worked with Barack Obama, who was then, I guess, known as Barry Soetoro. I didn't know his name, but and when I was on the surface of Mars, I saw a man by the name of Andy Basiago who came up after me, and I saw my future self. Um, there was that, and Andy Basiago was told that he will also be president of the United States at some point. I was led to believe that through that experience and also through a prior experience where this is going to sound crazy, so there's no way I can not sound crazy. You either believe this or you don't, or you think I'm insane or making stuff up. Um, I was visited by extraterrestrials and exposed to time travel when I was 5, and I was shown the future. I was taken to the future and shown the past, actually, which is still our future. But to me, it's like it's already happened because it's like I'm watching a script, basically, that's playing out in front of my eyes, and I'm just an actor. It's how it is. It's like they took me to the future, they showed me the past, and then put me back in the past. So it's like I've already seen what's coming through time travel. Time travel is real, you guys, and extraterrestrials are real, and most of the time travel tech that our government has secretly right now is from extraterrestrial origin. Particularly, some of it was reverse engineered from the craft that was uh, discovered at Roswell in, what was that, 1947. Those UFO craft, the flying saucers as they're called, um, are not just spacecraft, but they are time craft. They travel through time, and that's how the extraterrestrials took me through time and space. And a lot of people say the same thing. I'm just talking about it probably more than other people. And I guess that's part of how we're going to make public the fact that there is life other than ourselves in this universe. And that life is keenly interested in the day to day affairs of humanity because, you know, we're like, we're so powerful, you guys. Human beings are so powerful and so have so much potential. And they want to work with us, but we keep blowing it because we keep screwing it up. We're so smart, but so stupid sometimes. Hmm. Um, so what they showed me when I was in the future was indeed, not just my current future from this point onward, but they showed me who the future presidents will be. Um, and I think that they were showing me that I was one of them. And I did not remember any of this stuff until fairly recently because of memory suppression. Like there's this stuff called memory suppression technology that our government uses when um, involving people in certain things. They'll memory suppress them afterwards so they can fit them back into society, and they have no recollection of it. I was memory suppressed after the Mars experience, which really messed me up for a long time. By the way, I was depressed for 30 something years. When I started to remember, my depression went away. Physical ailments started to go away. All kinds of stuff started to improve for me. Uh, the extraterrestrial memory suppression is much more advanced than our government's memory suppression. Um, but I still didn't remember anything. So all of these memories started to come back to me all at the same time, and I'm sure in fact, I know there are other memories that I haven't yet unlocked. But I've been basically involved in, yeah, extraterrestrial visitation and their technology, their technological programs, if you want to call them that, and some of our government's uh, advanced technological programs like Mars teleportation. And I was remote viewing on Mars. There's a CIA document about it. There's If you Google CIA remote viewing Mars 1984, that's me. It was transcribed in '84, but the experience actually happened in '81. And yeah, it sounds insane, you guys, but I went to Mars with Barack Obama, and I've met aliens. So part of what I'm running for president for, part of the reason, a big part of the reasons, a huge part of the reason I'm running or campaigning right now, I should say. I'm not officially running, but I'm letting you guys know that here I am. Is that I want to make some of this information public and make some of the technology publicly available because we can, you know, it would benefit us, and we'd have to obviously use it in a way that is going to be conducive to our national security and the security of our friends and allies around the world, of which there are many, fortunately. Um, but we gotta we, we can do this. We can make these things public and use them for our benefit. Right now, as far as I know, the time travel technology that our government has is mainly used just to gather information and intelligence. That's why it's supervised by the Central Intelligence Agency, of which DARPA is an offshoot. Yes, maybe you were part of some of these. It's entirely possible that some of you guys on here are being drawn to this channel because you were part of some of these programs. I, I keep forgetting to mention that, but Um, you guys, if any of you have like military connections or grew up near military people or with military people or uh, bases or anything like that, it's entirely possible that you have memories in there that you currently can't access, and that's something that's driving you to uncover these memories, and that's why you're finding my channel. That's what happened to me. I started to have these memories. They were very, very dim at first. I was like, well, why am I remembering this? This couldn't have happened. I kept putting it on my head. I'm like, that's just imagination. And I started to do more research on like Mars exploration and secret Mars programs and secret space programs, and then I found this like abundance of information and people, you know, uh, so many people out there have said the same thing that I'm saying before I have. So I'm just, I've gotten in contact with some of these people, and they help me to remember also. Yeah, your dad was Army, so um, my family are military connected as well, for many generations. Not just United States military, but other countries. Uh, you know, a bunch of countries. But I definitely think that there's a lot more going on than people can than people realize. And I have memories that can't be explained any other way other than that they actually they actually happen. They're very The more that I've done regression therapy and tried to delve into what's going on in my mind, um, the more vivid they become. Like I'm remembering like tastes and smells and little things that nuances about people, and uh, how could it be anything other than real if I'm just so yeah. I mean, if you guys have that from any point in your lives, something that you go, maybe, did that happen? Did that really happen, or am I just like imagining, or is that just a fantasy or something? Do I just want that to be true? It's like, well, question it. Maybe that really did happen. Because hmm yeah, and I would know where to go to find all most of the locations that I was working out of, and I'm not sure about one of them, but I know the neighborhood that it was in. I don't remember exactly where the warehouse was, but I know exactly where the Mars jump room is, or was, at least in 1981. It's probably still there for all we know. Probably just sitting there, not being used. As far as I know, it was in my research. I've discovered that it was probably discontinued in the 90s, temporarily suspended. Um, but if you guys know anything about U.S. history in the 70s and 80s, a lot of people went missing for no explainable reason. And that's when the jump room program apparently started, was the 70s and 80s. A lot of people, I've heard it said that as many as 100,000 Americans were teleported to Mars via uh, jump room. It's like Stargate, basically. You've seen the movie Stargate, but only a few thousand came back. Like a lot of them died, or for all we know, are still up there. Who knows? I have no idea. But um, I'm one of the ones who came back, and apparently there are about 7,000 people right now walking around who have been to Mars. Many of whom don't realize it and don't remember it. I just happened to break through the memory suppression because I had a lot of time in my hands due to an injury. I was hit by a drunk driver, and I was trying to work I was trying to work through the trauma of my life in order to heal, which is what any doctor will recommend you do. If you've been traumatized, it brings back old trauma, old injuries. So the best thing to do is kind of like explore that rather than run away from it, so that you can confront it, make peace with it, and then continue to go back to the present and move forward. So that's what I was trying to do. And I got to a certain point in my early childhood and I couldn't remember things because like, but there was still trauma there. And so that's how I started to recover the memories, was by exploring what led to the trauma, the experiences that led to the trauma, and trying to remember them. I thought that, I started to think like, maybe I was abused or something, and I suppressed the memory. Or that's not what happened. I was never abused as a child. I had a really good, you know, I had a pretty good childhood, you guys. Um, I was very happy most of the time, pretty much all the time, actually. But yeah, the memories, I couldn't access them, and there was trauma associated with that point in time when I was 6 years old. And I started to really explore it. I'm like, what could have happened to me? What actually was that? And that's when the memories started coming back. And at first, I became sick because I started to remember, like the memory suppression techniques that they use instill these things into your mind called Wernicke commands, where you can become really sick if you start to remember something that those using the memory suppression technology don't want you to remember. You could start to have suicidal thoughts, which I did. You could start to have all kinds of strange impulses, which I did. I fought through all of them. I fought through the, the negative programming and started to get to the actual memories. I was sicker than I'd ever been in my life trying to do that. By the way, for like 2 weeks, I was just throwing up and I was going insane. I was freaking out. I was panicking about everything. That's not like me. I'm not like that. But like that's what happened. It was the programming. So I fought through it and started to uncover all these memories. And you guys might have, some of you guys out there, all of you guys, for all I know, might have similar experiences. Taxes, what are those? You guys know that the income tax amendment was never properly ratified, right? So taxes are still illegal in the United States. I would definitely never enforce taxation if I were president. It's like Yeah, taxation. What's that? Oh, you didn't fill out your IRS form. Oh, gee, that's too bad. Oh well, maybe you'll get to it next year. No big deal. You guys know that all that money is just being wasted. It's not being used on us to help us in any way. It's like every dollar you pay towards federal income tax is just blown on something dumb, like foreign aid. It's just wasted, squandered. There's no way any conscientious American should be compelled to pay federal income tax. It just gets thrown away. It gets thrown out of the country. That just want to make me laugh. Um, I don't know. Just laugh at dumb things. I like dumb things, basically, for humor. Like, the dumber, the better. So, has anyone here had, you know, does anyone here have memories that they can't explain, that don't fit into the so-called normal paradigm? Don't dismiss those, explore them because they could be real experiences that you've actually had. And if there's something like, you know, that you were part of a secret space program or something like that, people need to know. Um, this is how we're going to continue to improve things, is by getting the truth out. And don't be afraid either to talk about them because like there's no law against it. You know what I mean? I mean, I suppose if you're currently active military, then there might be a problem. You might be, uh, you might have difficulty with the chain of command. But I'm not in the military, so I'm, I respect the military completely. But I'm not part of the military, so I'm not going to be in any trouble. I can talk about stuff unless someone comes and tells me to shut up, or else. Which, no offense, but that ain't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm not going to stop talking about stuff. So, with all due respect to anybody who wants to tell me to stop talking, I respectfully decline to do so and choose to exercise my First Amendment rights. Hmm. And you're a hippie. I'm not a hippie. How about if there were such a thing as a punk rock president, I might actually be the punk rock president. I'm about as punk rock as you get. Look at this. All right. This is what I look like in high school, you guys. Let me show you. I had all this shaved. I was like this. Now I'm going bald, and I have my hair grown on the sides and stuff because I have to look sort of like a normal person sometimes, or else. But yeah, I was that weird punk rock kid in your high school who, you know, playing guitar and listen to the Sex Pistols and the Misfits and music like that. Um, there was only one of me in your high school. So I'm not a hippie at all, Frank. I love the Dead Kennedys. Holiday in Cambodia. Jello Biafra for mayor. Frankly, this whole campaign thing, like Michael Macintosh for president, is a bit like Jello Biafra for mayor. I don't know if I really mentioned that, but I take I take Jello's mayoral campaign as my biggest source of inspiration. It's like if Jello Biafra can run for mayor, then I can run for president, and I'm going to. So yeah, Frank and Christ is one of my favorites, or fresh fruit for rotting vegetables. They're all great. Every everything that Dead Kennedys ever did is great. Um, and the Misfits are definitely one of my all-time inspirations. Yeah. I just like the theatrical nature and extreme exaggerative hyperbole of their uh, their lyrics. No effects. Black Flag, like Black Flag. I actually do like Black Flag. And I really like Rollins' band actually. Henry Rollins' band after Black Flag. Um, Fugazi, Minor Threat, all the DC guys I think were a big inspiration to me because they were doing it themselves and being very successful at it. Which from a let I don't even want to talk about the music that they made, like Fugazi made. They were just from a musical standpoint, they're just extremely interesting. But like, uh, but as far as how they operated as a business, they did everything themselves without compromising whatsoever. And to me, as a kid, growing up in the wasteland of the suburbs of Boston, the cultural void, which it was in the late '80s, early '90s, especially, it was like I was, a teenager in high school, and trying to do something with my life. It's just like, what are my options here? Nothing. Um, I I found out about guys like that, bands like that, and companies like Discord Records out of DC, and I was like, I mean, I'd already heard punk rock, but then I heard this DIY punk rock and discovered their approach, and I was like, oh wow, they can do it themselves. Well, so can I. I might starve out sometimes. I might have to live on rice, and no one's going to help me. I'm not going to be getting corporate handouts or anything like that. But as far as approach to doing it, I just thought of that approach as the most free, and you're definitely flying without a safety net. But you know what? Whatever. I was willing to take that risk, and it turns out that that's actually a good approach. You know, I'm probably more successful than most of my peers in terms of business and finance, economics, matters like that. You know, I don't have like debt hanging over my head or any of this stuff. It just seems to me like that approach to dealing with the day-to-day affairs of life, like money and finance and business, is the best approach. You know, start with what you have, which doesn't have to be much. Take that little bit of something and grow it, and it's yours still. You're not obligated to anybody. Um, that way, you're not, struggling just to pay off debts or any of that stuff. It's like it's just the best way to do it. Take that, you know, take take your comic book collection or something that you have from when you were a kid, and take it to the take it and get a few bucks for it, and take that money and use it, invest it wisely, and like grow, and then grow that, and grow that. And, like nobody knows how to, like, not nobody, but few people know how to do that anymore, and it's really sad. You guys, like, my entire generation are like, most of the people I went to high school with are up to their eyeballs in debt still because of college loans that they're probably never going to be able to pay off because the economy is just like, let's be honest, the economy's been in the in the toilet for the last 20 years. Um, and we're trying to run our economic systems on an old paradigm that no longer applies to 2019, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole when we need to get rid of the square peg, get a round peg, put in the round hole because we have a round hole. You know what I mean? It's like the square peg system doesn't apply to 2019. We need reinvention, re as I've been saying, industrial revolution 2.0, and we need to take what we can get and invest it properly in our people and figure out some way to forget about the square peg system because unless we're going to bring back the square hole, which I don't know if that's going to, I don't see that ever working again, frankly. But if you can figure out a way to do that, then you guys are better than me. So let me know if you have other ideas. I certainly want to listen. And if I do end up being in the office of president, I'm certainly a listener, someone who learns, and I'm willing to listen to any and all perspectives on things to figure out solutions. But we have to understand that this things have to work for all of us for it to work at all. there's any sort of, you know, if there's a problem for one person, it's a problem for it. We should take the approach of it being a problem for all of us. That's all I'm really advocating. You know, because we are individuals, we all have our unique approaches and unique interests and unique whatever about us. We all have our uniqueness. But at the end of the day, it's we the people. And if we don't have that in America, if we're not going to be we the people anymore, then what have we got? You know, if we're not we the people, then we have failed. So let's not do that to ourselves, and let's not let other people do that to us. Let's continue being this we, this collection of freaks from, you know, we all washed up here on the same piece of dirt from somewhere else, most of us. So we're just a collection of freaks that the rest of the world didn't want, that somehow found a way to stick together and create this. So let's keep doing that. That's all I'm saying. We the people. Thomas Jefferson. Brilliant man. All right. I'm going to go get some more coffee. This is Michael Macintosh. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming into the chat room, you guys. Um, I'll be back soon.